say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glow, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
South Carolina's most honored radio station, News Talk 100.1 WRHI Rock Hill, W261CY Rock Hill, the voice of York County.
An OTS media station.
It's yet another piece in the Biden competency puzzle. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. A Parkinson's disease specialist visited the White House 8 times in 8 months, something the White House doctor tried to clarify last night.
The president's physician, Dr. Kevin O'Connor, identifies the Parkinson's expert as Dr. Kevin Kennard. O'Connor says Kennard examined the president for each of his annual physicals. O'Connor writes, the results of this year's exam were detailed in my February 28th letter. There were no findings which would be consistent with any cerebellar or other central neurological disorder such as a stroke, multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's, or ascending lateral sclerosis.
Fox's Madeline Rivera, and the White House doctor also says Kennard regularly holds neurology clinics at the White House for active duty military members. Now, President Biden insists he'll keep running for re-election, rejecting calls by some congressional Democrats to exit the race after his debate performance last month. Former President Trump tells Fox,
when he started to speak, I don't know, I thought his voice was weak. I didn't know exactly what was happening. It was strange.
Now, President Biden will be under even more scrutiny today, hosting world leaders at a NATO summit in Washington.
California Republican Congressman Darrell Issa on Fox Business.
The president, as he has not been for most of the 3.5 years, isn't capable of being the commander-in-chief.
But White House National Security Communications Advisor John Kirby says that viewpoint is mistaken.
And I don't believe that's the case. We're not picking up any signs of that from our allies at all. Quite the contrary.
The summit runs through Thursday.
That's Fox's Kevin Uretsky. The NATO focus will be continuing to help Ukraine fend off a Russian invasion. A barrage Monday did damage in several cities, killing at least 38 people, some at a Kyiv children's hospital that was bombed. Beryl's now a tropical depression raining down on Arkansas after hitting Texas as a hurricane doing damage, causing flooding, killing at least 7 people in the Houston area and another in Louisiana. There are still more than 2 million power outages in Texas. America's listening to Fox News.
Your last look at your traffic on this Monday. Only seeing one slow up in York County at the moment. That is at Highway 5, crossing Kellow Creek Lane on the York Highway. There appears to be a slow up there. North of the border, it's a mess. 2 lanes blocked in Charlotte on Harris Boulevard, northbound and southbound at University City. Also, there's still an accident and major congestion at North Tryon Street northbound. Also, drive with caution if you're in Indian driving on 521 into Ballantyne. That is moving at a very slow pace, too.
Check on that WRHI weather is presented by Wild Birds Unlimited, with 2 locations, Rock Hill and Indianland.
Did you know that hummingbirds have no sense of smell, but they have great color vision? I'm Lauren with Wild Birds Unlimited, and it's time to stock up on nectar and new feeders for our tiny feathered friends. Visit Wild Birds Unlimited today in Rock Hill and Indianland.
Going to be another very hot day today, worse than yesterday as the steam factor is building up even more. Temperature soaring in the mid-90s, but it'll feel around 105 with the heat index. That's why a heat advisory has been issued for today. Do what you can, take it easy this afternoon. I'm meteorologist Keith Monday from Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
And now to the WRHI News Center, where Stephen Stone has a check on those local headlines, brought to you by Green Funeral Home, with 2 locations downtown in the Northwest Chapel.
For 70 years, Green Funeral Home has been Rock Hill's hometown funeral home. Here's Frank Green describing the conveniences of the Northwest Chapel on Ebenezer Road.
It's convenient to the Grandview Memorial Park, which is on Hollis Lakes Road, Forest Hill Cemetery, which is on 161, all right, close to a variety of churches in this area as well.
Green Funeral Home, serving the area for 4 generations with 2 convenient Rock Hill locations, downtown and on Ebenezer Road.
In the WRHI News Center, I'm Tyler Cobb. Charlotte Douglas International Airport is experiencing its busiest summer travel period on record at the midway point of the season. From Memorial Day through the 4th of July, CLT surpassed last year's numbers by 14%. The 4th of July holiday witnessed approximately 925,000 arriving and departing passengers from July the 2nd through the 7th. That is a 7% increase over last year. Of those 925,000, over 153K were local passengers departing Charlotte. That's a 6% uptick from 2023. Passenger activity is forecasted to remain high through Labor Day, with a continued 13% increase in passengers over last year. Lancaster County could have a major point of interest on the November ballot in the form of a 1-cent transportation sales tax. So where do citizens stand on this possibility? Here's Lancaster County Administrator Dennis Marstall.
It's easy to see the congestion and people who sit in it and feel the traffic delays and waits. So I think it's an easy sell in terms of that. They understand it, particularly when you talk about 521. But what they're also not seeing, but they understand, is that all of our 4 municipalities, Lancaster, the city, but even Heath Springs, Kershaw, Van Wyck, we have road programs in there. So there will be local roads that will be done as well. Otherwise, we're at the mercy of the funding from SCDOT. And so some of these roads, if we don't do them on this list, it truly could be 30, 40 years before some of these roads would be addressed.
It would be $400 million towards 124 road projects in the county, including widening 521 from the state line to Walnut Creek. That one is $60 million alone. The third reading for the tax will go before Lancaster County Council on Monday, July 15th.
We can be the Rock Hill we're challenged to be, and we can be the community that I see day in and day out.
That's Rock Hill Mayor John Geddes at a function last month talking about a number of topics, including plans for the former Panther site, which is now known as Rock Hill Overlook. Geddes says they need to be very specific about what goes there because it's a unique 240-plus acres that could help build the future and quality of life for the city.
And what I've been telling you and what other city council members have been sharing for the last 2 years, I'll tell you what it's not going to be. It's not going to be distribution. It's not going to be warehousing. It's not going to be a bunch of residential properties. It's not going to be what you see in Rock Hill today. We have 240 acres on I-77, 20 minutes south of an international airport, on 77 with 85, 26, 95, a port 2.5 hours away. There is no piece of property like this piece of property.
The mayor also mentioned the work being done on the south side, saying there's a lot of promise and significant development and parks on its way. South Carolina fails to pass the hate crime law. Local officials are now tired of waiting, now taking matters into their own hands. Katie Gray reports.
State Representative Wendell Gilliard is advocating for a hate crime bill in South Carolina, which is one of 2 states left without it. The bill, named after the late lawmaker Clementa C. Pinckney, aims to establish higher penalties for crimes motivated by bias against a demographic. While the bill has passed not once but twice in the House, it's never passed the state Senate. Post and Courier report that in the absence of the statewide law, many Palmetto towns and cities have passed local hate crime ordinances to address discrimination issues and make marginalized communities feel safer.
And Vice President Kamala Harris is making her 6th visit to North Carolina this year with a trip to Greensboro on Thursday. It's being described as a political event for the Biden campaign. This is also the 14th overall trip for Harris to North Carolina since joining office. First Lady Jill Biden was actually in Wilmington, North Carolina yesterday. In the WRHI News Center, I'm Teller Cup.
Relax this summer with a promotional rate on select travel purchases with your Founders Federal Credit Union credit card. Now through August 31st, get 6.99% APR for 6 months on qualifying purchases, including airfare, hotels, restaurants, and cruise lines. Don't let interest rates slow you down this summer. Visit foundersfcu.com/travel to learn more. On March 1st, 2025, the promotional APR will revert to the effective APRs previously disclosed. Call 800-845-1614 for details about credit costs and terms. Membership qualification required.
This is Benny Etter. No matter how you sing it, we love that you're singing our jingle.
No matter what the weather,
AirTech makes it better. No matter what the weather, call AirTech Heating and Air.
803-327-7100.
The YMCA of Upper Palmetto has a story to tell.
It raised over $700,000 in financial assistance for those in need and in youth programs and camp.
Your story begins today. Go to ymcaup.org.
Do it. You won't regret it.
Dr. Carrie Watson, the Trauma Medical Director at Piedmont Medical Center, says she's very proud of what's being accomplished at Piedmont.
We are able to do robotic surgery. We are a robotic center of excellence, and that's robotic surgery for general surgery like gallbladders, hernias, colon. We also have robotic urology, so that's things like kidney removals and things with your bladder. We also have robotic neurosurgery that we're doing, and that's pretty amazing. Not a lot of places have that.
Piedmont Medical Center, a community built on care.
Palmetto Mornings on WRHI and CN2.
Good Tuesday morning to you. It is 6:10 in the a.m., 73 degrees, and you've landed right here on Palmetto Mornings, your home for news, talk, and sports. I'm Lucas McFadden.
And I'm Tyler Cupp.
And, of course, you're accessing this wonderful program on so many different platforms, on the radio, FM 100.1, AM 1340, on the free WRHI app, on WRHI.com. And, Tyler, people can see us and our smiling faces,
whether they want to or not. Lucas, I love this. They never let us, me and you, play in the sandbox. It's just me and you for the first 30 minutes. I love it. No.
When's the last time that we had this?
It was probably when I was where TJ is, behind the board. We did a couple segments, just me and you, when I was producing, way back when.
They never let us play in the same sandbox. That's a good phrase there. We're the two best friends that
anyone can have. There you go.
All right, so you can watch us on CN2. That's Comporium Cable Channel 102, as well as on all of your major social media channels. Tyler, I spend a lot of time on the road, much like you, much like everyone else. And there is a certain light that I talk about that's near my house. If I miss it, that means if I miss the green light, I'm going to be stuck there, it seems like for an hour. In reality, it's probably just a couple of minutes. But this morning, it's a straightaway, so that means I can see it at a long distance. And this morning, it was green, and I was like, oh gosh, don't turn yellow. And it turned yellow. And it wasn't one of those situations where like it was turning yellow as I was going underneath it. Like I could see it turn yellow from a distance. So I was like, oh my gosh. So I sat and waited there and waited there and waited there and heard your news, waited there, and then it turned green. So that got me thinking and put the Palmetto Mornings investigation team on it. Do you know how many days or hours people spend waiting at a red light in the United States?
Is there an actual statistic?
Yes. So according to AAA, the average American spends 17,600 minutes driving each year. Okay.
17,000 minutes?
17,600 minutes driving each year. That's 3,520 minutes or 58 hours spent waiting at red lights every year.
58 hours.
58 hours. That is more than 2 days. That's 2.5 days of my life gone because I'm having to wait at a red light.
Well, I was just about to say, I wasn't sure where you were going with that, and I love that statistic because I keep thinking like everyone has that light near their house where they know, as you said, if you get stopped there, you know it's going to be like the long light. Mine, it just feels that way, is the light at Cherry and Oakland as you're driving to past Winthrop. Yeah, past the Perch. That light to me, at Walgreens and the 7-Eleven, it feels like forever if I get stopped there. And I don't know why. But 58 hours a year? That's fascinating.
Because sometimes at that light, it's the same one at Mount Gallant and Dave Law Boulevard, the opposite lane goes about 30 seconds, 40 seconds before my lane goes. That's why.
Well, I'm going to be thinking about that all day. 58 hours a year sitting at a stoplight.
58.6 hours spent waiting at red lights every 365 days, so every year.
Boy, right out the gate, off the top rope, Lucas. Well done. You should be proud of yourself. Yeah. People are going to be thinking about that all day now. Probably all week. It's a Tuesday. Strap in.
Did you see the meme where someone said, I've already had it with this week, and it was Monday at 8:22 in the morning?
That was me that sent you that.
Oh, did it?
A 4 a.m. wake-up call comes early. Yeah, that was me.
Oh, my gosh. Wow. Yeah.
No, I was telling clients yesterday, having fun. I emailed one. She actually emailed me asking about a proposal. She wanted to be sure about something that I sent her. And I said, I was actually going to wait till Tuesday to email you because yesterday was like the Mondayest Monday ever after the 4-day. Well, most people had the Friday off after the July 4th holiday. But yesterday was one of the Mondayest Mondays ever.
Totally. In the middle of summer. And we're really not even in the middle of summer. Like the middle of summer comes in about a week from now, the middle of July. But we know about it in the news business. We always joke that there's never a slow time in our industry because, people are always making news, but it does ebb and flow.
Yeah.
And we're on a
Yesterday was tough because a lot of the headlines that me and you were working on, you for CN2 Now and me for WRHI News, a lot of the headlines were like Friday morning, Friday afternoon, and they got lost in the shuffle by the holiday weekend. Everybody was home on Saturday and Sunday, so there wasn't a whole lot going on. And I always feel kind of weird reading headlines on a Monday from a Friday, but I have to keep in mind that people kind of turn it off over the weekend and don't really listen to the radio much or watch much TV. They just kind of turn it off a little bit. So, but yeah, there wasn't a whole lot that happened on Saturday and Sunday.
Or they're on vacation.
I
have to be honest with you.
Yep.
I love what I do, but sometimes when I'm on vacation, I do check out. I do try to follow up and watch if I've got some downtime. But for the most part, like when I'm on vacation, I really try to unplug as much as I can. But I bring like my laptop everywhere I go now because things come up and you need answers quickly. And I no longer I haven't put this message for years on my cell phone or my laptop. Like, sorry, I'm out of the office until, July 18th. If you've got an emergency, call blank, blank, and blank. I just don't put that. I take the calls.
That's a great point. My laptop is always in my car.
Yeah.
May not ever use it, but it's always in there in case I need to, bring it out and send an email or whatever the case may be.
Okay, so we talked about people waiting at a stoplight. What about people in their commutes where they have to they're stuck in traffic on the interstate?
Okay.
According to a traffic study, now there are some traffic studies, the latest one was done back in 2019, so you can probably, much like inflation, you can add to that. According to a traffic study, commuters waste an average of 54 hours a year in traffic. So 56 at a red light, 54 waiting in traffic, like just commuters. So if you're one of the lucky ones that get stuck waiting on the interstate and then get stuck at a traffic light, you've basically wasted almost a week of your life.
I'm just thinking about the high traffic areas in York County, like obviously Charlotte.
Sure. Well, we've got a lot of
Celanese and Fort Mill. Like Celanese and Rock Hill, Fort Mill in general, just waiting in traffic.
For sure.
Yeah.
Collins has had golf in the spring season at like 4:30, 5 o'clock in Fort Mill. We had to leave the house. I think literally as soon as I got off work here, I had to go immediately and go get her and get in traffic. Like go ahead and get in line because I knew I was going to be in so much traffic. And that was heading to Fort Mill. And she was there for an hour. And when I was leaving at 6 o'clock, the line at the Parkway was still backed all the way up. I probably waited another 20, 30 minutes coming home in traffic. And that's not even like the Charlotte traffic. Those are the folks that live here but commute to Charlotte. But again, about 2 days and a half at a red light, 2 days stuck in traffic, a week of your whole life gone because you're stuck in some kind of traffic.
Is it weird that I feel like it's more for some of us?
Like it should be longer?
Yeah.
Oh, I totally agree.
Like, I guess certain people, depending on where you live.
Yeah. I do know this prior to the pandemic, I had folks that lived here and worked in Charlotte, and they negotiated as part of like a deal, like, hey, let me come in the office 3 days a week and 2 days a week stay at home because of the commuting and the traffic, and I can be more productive. And this was before the pandemic, before working from home was part of the deal now that most employers like to offer potential employees. And I just can remember thinking, like, how does that work? Like, what does that look like? I mean, I know what it's like to work from home, but like, what does it look like? But once they explain to their employer how much time they're wasting waiting in line and late to meetings, and no matter how early you left or in the mornings, you never seem to get there on time. I thought it was a pretty good idea, to be honest with you.
I'm going to sound like the old man screaming at the moon, but it's one of those things where when me and Liz will, go to those different pockets of Charlotte, like the Ballantines and the Still Creeks, and even like North Charlotte of, Mooresville, Davidson, areas like that, we will go through that Charlotte traffic, even on a Saturday afternoon. And I don't know how people do it. That's a weekend.
Day in and day out.
A weekend, and I'm like, why is it so bad? What is happening? And like Davidson, you know what I mean? Like the traffic in that area is just nuts. But people have a lot of patience. What do you say? Pack your patience? Pack
your patience. And don't even get me started if you're traveling from here down to Charleston or Myrtle Beach, especially if you're on Interstate 77 when it dumps into Interstate 26. And if you know what I'm talking about, you've got three lanes of traffic, north and southbound. And then right before you get to Orangeburg, it goes back down to 2. And there are times that you're just stuck on the interstate.
Speaking of Charleston, did you see one of my headlines?
No.
Charleston reclaimed the title of South Carolina's largest city from Columbia, the first time since 2017. Does that surprise you?
I know a lot of people are moving to Charleston, but Charleston probably encompasses like Mount Pleasant.
There's a lot of pockets.
Charleston.
Yep.
So if you broke out like downtown Charleston, I don't think it would stand on its own.
Well, and like I wonder with Columbia, are they including like West Columbia, Casey? I don't think they're including Blythewood. Probably not.
They're probably not including Lexington. Lexington's its own city.
Yeah. But they said in the Post and Courier, it was a close call between population and area size. They said that city populations can be complex due to varying methods. One example is that city limits may not accurately reflect urban areas.
So there you go.
So that's very interesting to me.
The city of Rock Hill in South Carolina for the longest, and I think it still might be true, if not, Mayor Geddes, if you're listening, let us know. We're the 5th largest city in the state of South Carolina, city of Rock Hill.
But like, where do areas like Terza, McConnell's fall? I know it's not a lot of people.
Well, they're probably not considered part of the Rock Hill area.
Right.
But that's a great question.
Is that more part of York, I guess?
York, Clover area.
Yeah.
That's a great point. But if they said York County is one of the fastest growing counties, it's got to encompass all of York County.
Fort Mill, TKK.
Probably parts of Indian Land up in Lancaster County and probably nearby Lancaster County. I don't know. It's an interesting statistic of like what the range is. Like if you could draw a circle around, this is the area we surveyed and this is the area that is, the largest city in South Carolina.
Well, and you talk about the population of York County and the booming area of Indian Land and Lancaster County. You know what area always confuses me is when you take that right off Doby's Bridge Road, where the 7-Eleven is past Catawba Ridge High School, all those developments down that road
totally
as
agree.
you're getting up to 521 in Indian Land.
I am with you 100%. And that, as someone who's grown up here his whole life and can remember when that road was not full of a lot of subdivisions, but over time,
It's all subdivisions.
It's all subdivisions. Yeah. And I'm like, these kids all go to Fort Mill schools? Yeah, they have to, because the line is right there at the bridge and it says you're now entering Lancaster County. That's a lot. Boy, man. All right. Well, congratulations to Charleston. It's reclaimed the title of South Carolina's largest city. It took that crown from Columbia, and Columbia's had it since 2017. All right. More best friends talking about news straight ahead here on Palmetto Mornings at 6:23, 73 degrees.
Your last look at your traffic on this Monday. Only seeing one slow up in York County at the moment. That is at Highway 5. Crossing Kellow Creek Lane on the York Highway. There appears to be a slow up there. North of the border, it's a mess. 2 lanes blocked in Charlotte on Harris Boulevard, northbound and southbound at University City. Also, there's still an accident and major congestion at North Tryon Street northbound. Also, drive with caution if you're in Indian driving on 521 into Ballantyne. That is moving at a very slow pace, too.
Very hot and sticky weather. That's going to be the main theme across the Tri-County once again today as our temperatures are soaring back into the mid-90s. It's going to be very hot and humid. Could feel close to 105 with the heat index. That's why a heat advisory has been issued today. Little chance for a downpour this afternoon. I'm meteorologist Keith Monday from Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
Time now for Intelligent Investing, presented by Anderson Griggs Investments in Rock Hill.
Pleased to have with us today Justin Anderson, president of Anderson Griggs Investments in downtown Rock Hill. Justin, we've warned intelligent investors about this before, but we're going to warn them again. Watch out for this stuff called Bitcoin.
That's right, Manny. So this is recently in the news. There's a new risk has kind of come to light for Bitcoin, cryptocurrency in general. And it's kind of interesting because, all investments share liquidity risk. Liquidity risk is how easy can you buy and sell in the marketplace an investment without affecting the price or convert it to cash. So recently what's happened is a long time ago, there was a cryptocurrency exchange for Bitcoin called Mt. Gox in Japan. It went bankrupt when a bunch of hackers hit the company. They lost a lot of money. All this time, the assets of that company have been locked away. So we're talking 10 years now, and they're paying out these creditors, and part of what they're paying out is Bitcoins. They had 200,000 Bitcoins, and they're going to pay those out of these people. And the big fear is that these creditors are going to get these Bitcoins and sell them in the open marketplace right away. Now, at the same time, people are paying attention. Germany has $2 billion worth of Bitcoins that they're giving out to people that they have taken in from fraud. The United States has $12 billion of Bitcoins that eventually will hit the open marketplace, and many of these people may sell it. So that has created fear. People are worried about the price drop from people coming in and selling all at once. And so they pre-sold, and now these other people might come in. That could feed on itself. It's just an interesting kind of thing to look at, this new type of liquidity risk for cryptocurrency assets. And if you're going to invest in them, it's something you might have to pay attention to.
Be very careful how you invest your money. Thank you, Justin.
Thank you, Manny.
Intelligent Investing is presented by Anderson Griggs Investments in Rock Hill. To hear a replay of shows, go online to andersongriggs.com.
SEC Media Days is just 6 days away, and South Carolina will send 3 athletes along with Coach Shane Beamer to represent the football team. Seniors Luke Doty, Alex Huntley, and Tebow Williams are 3 seniors who will join players from all across the SEC during Carolina's appearance on July 15th. The event will be held at the Omni Hotel in Dallas this season. Speaking of the Gamecocks, Coach Shane Beamer has announced Darren Usher as the team's new Director of Player Personnel and Recruiting. Usher, who is a Carolina graduate, most recently served in a recruiting role at Oregon, helping lead the Ducks to the Pac-12 championship game last season. With the Carolina Panthers just 3 weeks away from the start of training camp, the defense still has multiple major holes. Carolina needs help at cornerback and edge rusher. Outside of J.C. Horn, the Panthers have no experience at corner, and with former South Point star Stephon Gilmore still a free agent, all eyes have been on where he may land. Additionally, the Panthers will likely look to add a veteran D lineman to provide depth before the start of camp. The Atlanta Braves got a 9th-inning home run from Sean Murphy to force extra innings, then Marcelo Ozuna had a sacrifice fly in the 11th to give the Braves a 5-4 road win over Arizona. After the victory, Atlanta is now 50-39 on the season. In other games are the majors. The Pirates, Cardinals, Tigers, Reds, Twins, and Rangers were all winners. With your Tuesday sports, I'm Chris Miller.
Palmetto Mornings on WRHI and CN2.
Staying alive, staying alive.
6:27 here on this Tuesday edition of Palmetto Mornings. 73 degrees. I'm Lucas McFadden.
And I'm Tyler Cupp.
So, Tyler, Duke Energy customers want to really lean into this story.
Yeah, so Duke Energy Carolina has got the green light to increase its rates after approval from the Public Service Commission of South Carolina. The energy company put in for a rate review request back in January. This is all to cover costs of investments made for system reliability, such as upgrades to power plants and, of course, power poles. The increases will range from 4.5% to 8.7% on average. In a statement by Duke Energy yesterday, they say it marks the first base rate increase requested by the company since 2018. But get this, Lucas. Locally, this rate hike is going to affect over 93,000 customers across the Tri-County, about 39,000 plus each in York and Lancaster County, nearly 15,000 in Chester. There's a lot of businesses, commercial that it's going to affect as well. On average, the increase could be about $151 for residential customers annually, and the new rates will start on August the 1st.
So on average, the increase could be about $151 more for residential customers each year. From our understanding of speaking with Duke Energy, they basically, in layman's terms, this is us trying to break it down, take out a loan to do upgrades and everything like that, hoping that the Public Service Commission will say, hey, this is all the stuff we've been doing.
Yep.
We need to get back paid almost. And this is, I think, to help back pay and to bring them ahead of the curve. That's how, to my understanding, it has been explained to us. If I'm wrong, I know someone will correct us.
And we may be a little biased, but we love our friends at Duke Energy, Rick Duran and Tyson Blanton. They do a lot for our communities in the Tri-County in terms of giving back and, helping create parks and helping create a better quality of life for the Tri-County.
But some of that money, though, comes from a separate pot within Duke Energy. Yeah. It is not part of this.
Right.
I do know always when a company raises or when it services the amount of dollars related to a service when it increases, and that company is out, to your point, giving a check or doing this, they're like, was this where my money's going to? There's like certain pockets within the organization for sure. All right. Well, Tyler Cupp will continue to keep us in the loop with what's going on in news here on Palmetto Mornings at 6:30 in the a.m., 73 degrees.
Fox News, I'm CJ Papa. The fallout from the disastrous debate for President Biden. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre.
Has the president been treated for Parkinson's? No. Is he being treated for Parkinson's? No.
Fox's Brooke Singman has more in a report by the Wall Street Journal.
The new report detailing a time that the president missed a meeting with the German chancellor because he had to go to bed. The article says, quote, German officials aware of Biden's fatigue at night sought to accommodate the president by planning a June 2022 event with German Chancellor Olaf Scholz in the early evening. Biden didn't show, surprising the chancellor and his aides.
A number of Texas counties, including Harris, the home to Houston, are without power this morning. Beryl blasting the region, leaving at least 7 dead and more than 2.3 million outages across the Lone Star State. America's listening to Fox News.
Taking a look at your Tuesday traffic, smooth ride on I-77 northbound through Fort Mill, Carowinds Boulevard, and north of the border. No congestion or slowups that we can see. Charlotte looking good at the moment as well. Seeing a little congestion in Indialand 521 as you're making your way into Ballantyne. Here in the city of Rock Hill, Dave Law Boulevard, Celanese, and Cherry Road, it's all clear. That's a look at your traffic. I'm Tyler Cupp.
A check of that WRHI weather is brought to you by AirTech Heating and Air. Remember, no matter what the weather, AirTech makes it better.
No matter what the weather, AirTech makes it better. No matter what the weather, AirTech makes it better.
This is Benny Eder of AirTech Heating and Air. If your air conditioning and heating system is over 10 years old, call me at 327-7100 and we'll show you how you can save over 40% on your everyday home or business energy costs.
No matter what the weather, AirTech makes it better. No matter what the weather, call AirTech Heating and Air.
Call 327-7100, making weather better for 3 decades.
A very warm and muggy start across the Tri-County this morning. It's going to be a hot day today. Highs in the mid-90s, hotter than yesterday, and the heat index even worse. So that's going to lead us to heat advisory levels across the region. Do what you can to take it easy out there this afternoon. I'm meteorologist Keith Monday from Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
Over to the WRHI News Center where Stephen Stone, hello, it's not Stephen Stone, it's Tyler Cupp, who's got a check of those local headlines brought to you by South State Bank. We're committed to helping our customers find their success.
I'm Kelly Dills with South State Bank. From tailgate to touchdown, we're here to ensure your financial game plan leads you to victory. We're committed to supporting you every step of the way, providing expert guidance and dedicated assistance on your financial journey. South State Bank, this is banking forward. Member FDIC.
In the WRHI News Center, I'm Tyler Cobb. After seeing the success of the Pennies for Progress program in neighboring York County, Lancaster County wants to give it a try and hopes to have it on the ballot for the election in November. Lancaster County Administrator Dennis Marstall explains the cost of this project and that it may not be the only major thing on the ballot this fall.
Over 15 years, the sales tax 1% will generate up to or over $400 million. So we have a $400 million package, and the voters in Lancaster County will have a decision because the school board has already decided they're going to put a bond issue on the ballot in November as well. So we're going to have two financially impacted bond questions if this goes forward on the county side. So it'll be a lot of conversation. But again, I think people understand that if we don't do something with our own local resources, we're just waiting for the state, and that could be a long period.
The road sales tax referendum would be $400 million towards 120 plus different road projects in the county, including widening 521 from the state line to Walnut Creek. That one is $60 million alone. The third reading for the Lancaster County sales tax will go towards County Council on Monday, July 15th. Late yesterday afternoon, the body of a missing juvenile swimmer was found in Lake Wiley. From TGK Police, they say crews were called to Pitcairn Park on Triton Drive just after 4 p.m. to look for a swimmer that was in distress and missing. The Charlotte Fire Department also assisted in the search. An investigation is ongoing by the York County Coroner's Office.
You see, those are big things that didn't cost us a penny. Those are big things because we do big things. We dream big things.
That's Rock Hill Mayor John Geddes at a function last month talking about a number of topics, including plans for the former Panther site, which is now known as Rock Hill Overlook. Geddes says they need to be very specific about the Hutchison property because it's a very unique 240-plus acres that could help build the future and quality of life for the city.
We're not going to throw something on there because we're scared and we need to see something happen because I'm worried that y'all are going to get mad at me. I don't care. I really don't care. We're going to put the right thing there. And 30 years from now, those numbers that are not so good are going to be a heck of a lot better, thanks to you, the business community, and the jobs that we bring to Rock Hill.
Geddes was adamant that it's not going to be a distribution center or warehousing. He says there's nothing like it in the state with its access to the interstate and airport. The mayor also mentioned the work being done on the south side, saying there's a lot of promise and significant development on its way. Charleston has reclaimed the title of South Carolina's largest city from Columbia since 2017. It was a close call between population and area size. Experts telling the Post and Courier city populations can be complex due to varying methods. One example is city limits may not accurately reflect urban areas. After President Joe Biden's less than exciting debate performance, many Republicans and Democrats are concerned for the president's health, with many calling for him to drop out of the election in favor of a younger candidate. Despite the pressure, President Biden says he will remain in the race. Speaking on Fox's Fox News Live, South Carolina Congresswoman Nancy Mace says other countries are skeptical of America's place on the world stage.
World leaders right now, they're mocking the United States. Joe Biden is a national security threat because everyone knows he's on the decline. Everyone knows he's not making decisions. In fact, the only decisions he's making right now is between applesauce and ice cream. He's not in charge of the country, and it's a very scary place for the nation right now.
Some Capitol Hill lawmakers, like Democratic Senator John Fetterman, are giving the president their wholehearted support, and they're encouraging him to stay in the presidential race. And Duke Energy Carolina's got the green light to increase its rates after approval from the Public Service Commission. With more, here's Seth Eves.
The energy company put in for a rate review request back in January to cover costs of investments made for system reliability, such as upgrades to power plants and poles. The increases will range from 4.4% to 8.7% on average. In a statement by Duke Energy South Carolina, they say it marks the first base rate increase requested by the company since 2018. Locally, the rate hike will affect about 39,000 each in York and Lancaster County. For Chester, nearly 15,000 will be impacted. On average, the increase could be about $151 for residential customers annually. The new rates change on August 1st. For WRHI News, I'm Seth Eves.
Thank you, Seth. And in the News Center, I'm Tyler Cupp.
Let KFC take care of dinner tonight with their Taste of KFC deal. For only $4.99, receive a 2-piece complete with mashed potatoes, gravy, and a biscuit. For just $10, get a 4-piece with 2 sides of mashed potatoes and gravy plus 2 buttery biscuits. Or feed the whole family for $20 with a 6-piece macaroni and cheese, mashed potatoes and gravy, coleslaw, sweet corn, and 4 extra buttery biscuits. It's the Taste of KFC meal for a limited time at your local KFC.
Somebody injures somebody else due to their negligence and they're not willing to step up and make that person whole again, we're the ones that go and make that happen.
We work together to make sure that what we're doing is understanding our client. It's very difficult to be a voice for someone that you don't know.
We don't want somebody to feel alone when they're not able to provide for their family because of an injury. We want people to know that there's somebody out there that will fight for them.
We don't want you to fight your own battles. We don't want you to go it alone. We want you to call Schiller & Hamilton because we've got your back.
Schiller & Hamilton Law Firm. Don't go it alone. 803-366-0333.
It's always pleasant. Quick in and out.
That's exactly how customers feel after going through Burns Tire and Quick Service Center.
Everybody that comes around, you need anything, always constantly asking anything else we can do for you.
Burns Tire and Quick Service Center, Cherry Road at I-77 next to Burns Chevrolet.
Stay cool and bid online. It's time for the sizzling hot July equipment auction. Calling all farmers and construction companies. Turn your surplus equipment into cash. Accepting consignments now for the July 23rd online equipment auction. Details at theligandcompany.com. Gotta go.
Ready for a new ride? An auto loan from Family Trust Federal Credit Union can help you get behind the driver's seat in no time. It's as simple as this. Apply online or in one of our branches and hear back from a loan consultant in minutes. Plus, as a credit union, we offer lower rates than most dealerships and banks. With our easy application and guidance from our experts, you'll be hitting the road with an auto loan that fits your budget. Visit familytrust.org/auto now to apply. familytrust.org/auto. Questions or concerns? Give us a call. 803-367-4100 for complete terms and conditions.
Palmetto Mornings on WRHI and CN2.
Still like that old time of rock and roll. That kind of music just soothes my soul. I reminisce about the days of old with that old time of rock and roll. Won't go to hear 'em play a tango. I'd rather hear some blues.
6:40 here on this Tuesday edition of Palmetto Mornings, 73 degrees. I'm Lucas McFadden.
I'm Alex Greenawalt.
We always love to welcome in our listeners who are listening on the radio, FM 100.1, AM 1340. Those listening on the free WRHI app, and of course, WRHI.com, in addition to watching us on CN2, that's Comporium Cable Channel 102, as well as Facebook Live, X, YouTube, what other social media platforms you can find out there. Chances are you can find us. You definitely don't want to miss a minute of it.
Never.
We're a little biased.
It's the best. Somebody I was chatting with yesterday said, "Aren't you on YouTube?" I'm like, "We are." And I just kept rolling with all the things. We're on everything. Everything.
I love it. Okay, well, you heard some of the headlines here in the national stories about current President Joe Biden. He is having a really rough couple of days since the debate happened almost 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, a couple weeks.
So here's what I'm going to do, Alex.
Yeah.
I've kind of combined all these stories. I'm just going to run through them real quick, and then we can sprinkle in some
Rip the Band-Aid
we can
off.
sprinkle in some common sense, which is missing from a lot of coverage nationally. So the president sent a letter to congressional Democrats saying he will not step aside amid party drama. He says it's time for it to end. It's a 2-page letter that the question of how to move forward has been well aired for more than a week now. It's time for it to end. He stressed that the party has one job, and that's to defeat the presumptive Republican presidential nominee, Donald Trump, in November. And he said we need to be focusing on Donald Trump and his mental health instead of my mental health. So you have that. You also have a host on Fox News, Shannon Bream, said she could not find any Democrat to come on her show that airs on Sundays on Fox News to defend Joe Biden. She said, our team spent days reaching out to dozens of lawmakers, Biden advocates, and allies, but not a single guest, she says, was willing or able to come on to defend Joe Biden this past Sunday. Instead, she said he opted for a pre-recorded interview with an ABC personality. So then yesterday, they had a press briefing at the White House, and the press secretary was on the hot seat where a journalist shouted out, not acceptable, when he claimed he was asking questions that are public knowledge about the president's health. So you have that going on. Then you have the news that just came out that apparently during a June 2022 G7 summit, that instead of meeting with the German chancellor met with Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, who told the chancellor that Biden had decided to go to bed early. Two people were told this, and then they told the Wall Street Journal in an interview. So he just said, sorry, I can't meet with you. I've got to go to bed, which I appreciate a good night's sleep, to be honest with you. But I'm also not the president of the United States, and I know what's expected of me. So I would love to sleep in to do this show, but we know what's expected of us and where we need to be in the morning. And the final tough pill to swallow is at the press conference yesterday, they announced that Joe Biden is going to do what they call a big boy press conference. They call it a press conference, and then they said, we're calling it a big boy press conference.
That means he has his big boy pants on.
That goes along with the cringe comment that First Lady Jill Biden told the president after his debate 3 weeks ago, that he did such a good job. Joe, you did such a good job. You answered all of their questions.
Oh, it was cringy.
It was the worst. And of course, social media and the internet had its field day with that phrase. And they said he did a good job, and he ate his vegetables, and he took a shower, and he put on his pajamas. So, all right. So that's everything, pretty much it.
You've laid it out. I know Manning Kimball texts us in the meantime. Biden's physician says neurologists visited the White House as part of the annual examination. So you're getting all these mixed messages.
You really are. Ashley and I spoke about it yesterday. It's not so much the age number, right? So he's 81?
Yes.
I know 81-year-olds that could beat me at my age now running, swimming, and lifting weights. It's not so much the age number. It is just the overall health of a human being. Now, there are some companies, they don't care if you're spry as a chicken or if you're out to pasture. When you hit XYZ age, you got to retire. Pilot industry has that. That's the big industry that I know.
The physicians, a doctor, do they have a
That's a great question. They don't care, again, if you can run laps around everyone else, or if you need 4 naps in the day. When you hit that age, you got to retire.
Well, when you're putting other people, whether it's their lives, their wellness in jeopardy, that's when you have to, again, take a step back. And of course, you have two sides of the coin when it comes to the presidency. While you're going through that, I was trying to see, because, back in the day, it's not like this is the first time this has happened. Eisenhower, during his presidency, the media played a huge role in managing the perception with his health issues. He had a heart attack, surgery for his Crohn's disease. He had a stroke, all while up there in the limelight during his presidency. And what I've kind of gathered is the media really did better job with coverage, being respectful and focusing on his recovery and resilience. And again, it reflects a different era where they wanted political stability, and they wanted people to see that balance and have trust in their president. And we're in a different era now. That's why we're so divided, mixed messaging from media. Mm-hmm. I know, was it Jean Paul? What is her name?
Corinne Jean-Pierre.
Yes, I'm sorry. I can never get it. She came out yesterday with a heavy-hitting tone. Mm-hmm. It wasn't, if it was me, I would have probably brushed it very lightly. Like, we have a lot of people in the White House, and there's plenty of doctors that come and see our staff, hundreds, thousands of people. It could have been anyone That's how I would have said it. She came in hard hitting with the tone. And that obviously, when you come with the attitude and tone, people are going to read right through it. She's frustrated.
She is frustrated, but part of the working in the communications industry for two decades, I have learned that poor communication is the detriment of any organization.
Any corporate, church, business, nonprofit, political, anything in life, relationships.
What the president should have done following the debate 3 weeks ago, once again, free advice. We're not charging you. This is pro bono free advice, is he should have come out and said on the Friday, folks, I just did not have a great debate.
Exactly.
It happens to a lot of people in their profession. Unfortunately, this was on stage in front of billions of people. Wasn't a great night. I can tell you, here are the receipts of my latest doctor visit. Here's what it is. Do I stumble sometimes over words? Absolutely. Do we stumble on words here? Absolutely. Oh my gosh, we stumble over words left, right, and sideways. We know that because you, part of our family, will tell us when you see us that we couldn't say this word or that word. So we get that. But I'm also not the president of the United States, which is it is a job requirement that does not need to be written out in the job description.
Right.
That's how you combat all this stuff.
I completely
But
agree.
For a week of blaming everyone from his schedule to his handlers to a cold and then going back and
went
forth.
the wrong
It just
route.
was, you started blaming everyone. Then you started blaming Donald Trump and this and that. And
There's more respect and more transparency when you go that route and say, you know what, not my best. It's like sitting in a job interview and they say, tell us what your weaknesses are.
I know.
Well, you're not going to harp on your weakness. But in this day and age, if you've had a coach, you know how to turn a weakness into a strength. You could sit there and say, debates really are not my strong suit, but that's okay because I've had so much other platforms of great public speaking. I've been able to do X, Y, Z. Look at what the country that I've done, Bidenomics, la, 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 la. You just roll your strengths over top of it.
Oof. I wouldn't say Bidenomics is probably
that was
his
a joke.
streak, but that's like a
That
good
was a little
example.
John.
Yeah.
But to your point, that is the way they could. I would have sat back and be like, you know what? Give the poor man a break. I get it.
But when you blame everything else, it's hard. It's hard to do that.
Yeah.
It's hard to do. It's tough. It's like a quarterback who did not practice at all for a week for a game. Not one bit. Sat on the couch, didn't go to practice, ate junk food, didn't exercise, didn't do anything for a week. Then they come out to the game on Sunday in the NFL and they have a horrible game. And then on Monday on the press conference, he blames everybody else. You're like, dude, you got to take some responsibility.
But in that context, I think he was over-prepared. It's like studying and cramming for a test, no matter if you do it the day before. He had way too much information overload, and I've even been there before. I've had too much information, and in the moment of test taking, you and I can relate. We hate test taking. We're not great.
We do, but to your point earlier about if you're asked what your weakness is, you turn it into a strength.
Yeah.
He's been in politics for longer than you and I've been alive combined.
Yes.
He knows how to pivot, and he knows if he didn't like the question, how to pivot. I have to be honest with you.
He didn't pivot, did he?
The former president, Donald Trump, never answered really their questions. He answered a question from 2 questions ago and then would bring it up to speed. So it's just how you manipulate the system a little bit. But I don't know. I think if you come out in full disclosure and lay everything out, it's an easier pill to swallow. But if you come out and blame everyone else but yourself, that is very difficult. Yeah.
And we can say this. I know we're going on about Biden. We can also say this about Trump. The same exact thing. He hasn't, as obviously as we know, not had his great spotlight in the media. Oh my gosh,
no. He's a bad communicator too.
Sure.
They're both two bad communicators.
We can rip both off, but he got ripped during his presidency. So now it's Biden's rip.
What Joe Biden is experiencing right now was daily for Donald Trump and the White House press corps. It got to the point so much so that people were not the press corps. They were not showing those press conferences because they became so unruly and so angry. it was a drain on the American people. And I have to be honest with you, if the former president is elected, I am stressing already for the next 4 years of he went left out of the White House instead of right. What does that mean? He's the worst human being on earth. And, so I don't know. It's a whole.
He's got to get a good team around him
Yeah.
if he was even, if he even gets the presidency.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, we've given free advice to
As always.
the folks in Washington, D.C., to the president. Hopefully he'll listen to us. And, we're here to always help you. We want him to be successful. When the
For
president,
us in our country, yes.
when the president's successful, we're all successful.
Amen. Amen.
6:53 here on this Tuesday edition of Palmetto Mornings, 73 degrees.
Taking a look at your Tuesday traffic, and our first congestion of the morning appears to be at South Anderson Road as you're crossing Galleria Boulevard and Southside Road. There is some congestion there in Rock Hill. Nothing on I-77 northbound in Fort Mill, making your way north of the border. However, once you get to Charlotte, it is starting to slow down. Exit 1B, 3, and 4 is seeing some major slow-ups there. That congestion in any lane on 521 appears to have cleared up at the moment as well. That's a look at your traffic. I'm Tyler Kopp.
Going to be another very hot day today, worse than yesterday as the steam factor is building up even more. Temperatures soaring in the mid-90s, but it'll feel around 105 with the heat index. That's why a heat advisory has been issued for today. Do what you can, take it easy this afternoon. I'm meteorologist Keith Monday from Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
It's back. The 7th annual WRHI Football City USA Kickoff powered by Champion Services. August 16th, District 3 Stadium in Rock Hill. At 5:30, AirTech Heating and Air presents 7-time state champion South Point versus Palisade.
Touchdown, South Point Stallion.
At 7 p.m., the law offices of Wilkerson, Jones, and Wilkerson present 5-time state champion Northwestern versus 8-time state champion Dutch Fork.
Touchdown, Northwestern Trojans.
At 8:30, it's 5-time state champion Rock Hill versus Hunter Huss.
Touchdown, Rock Hill Bearcats.
Tickets are $10 in advance and available at footballcityusa.kickoff.com. While at the game, take your chance to win free cash as part of the Founders Federal Credit Union Kick for Cash. The WRHI Football City USA Kickoff, powered by Champion Services, is brought to you by
KFC, Rock Hill Coca-Cola, Nichols Store, Burns Chevrolet Cadillac, Rhett Rutland State Farm, and James River Equipment.
We'll see you August 16th at Rock Hill's District 3 Stadium.
SEC Media Days is just 6 days away, and South Carolina will send 3 athletes along with Coach Shane Beamer to represent the football team. Seniors Luke Doty, Alex Huntley, and Tebow Williams are 3 seniors who will join players from all across the SEC during Carolina's appearance on July 15th. The event will be held at the Omni Hotel in Dallas this season. Speaking of the Gamecocks, Coach Shane Beamer has announced Darren Usher as the team's new Director of Player Personnel and Recruiting. Usher, who is a Carolina graduate, most recently served in a recruiting role at Oregon, helping lead the Ducks to the Pac-12 championship game last season. With the Carolina Panthers just 3 weeks away from the start of training camp, the defense still has multiple major holes. Carolina needs help at cornerback and edge rusher. Outside of J.C. Horn, the Panthers have no experience at corner, and with former South Point star Stephon Gilmore still a free agent, all eyes have been on where he may land. Additionally, the Panthers will likely look to add a veteran D lineman to provide depth before the start of camp. The Atlanta Braves got a 9th-inning home run from Sean Murphy to force extra innings. Then Marcelo Ozuna had a sacrifice fly in the 11th to give the Braves a 5-4 road win over Arizona. After the victory, Atlanta is now 50-39 on the season. In other games of the majors, the Pirates, Cardinals, Tigers, Reds, Twins, and Rangers were all winners. With your Tuesday sports, I'm Chris Miller.
Palmetto Mornings on WRHI and CN2.
It was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening.
6:57 here on this Tuesday edition of Palmetto Mornings, 73 degrees. I'm Lucas McFadden.
I'm Alex Greenawalt.
So the Vice President, Kamala Harris, is making her 6th visit to North Carolina this year.
Oh,
so
wow.
6 visits
that
since
normal?
January. Probably not, but it's an election year,
Sure.
so I would probably expect that. And North Carolina is considered a purple state. It went Republican, if I'm not mistaken, in the last election, but Democratic the election beforehand, I believe. So that's when it flip-flops and it's a state in play is what
Yes.
Democrats and Republicans call North Carolina. Like, it's not a sure lock for any political party, unlike like the state of South Carolina and the state of California. State of California is always most likely going to always go blue.
It's not going to swing one way or the
state
other.
of South Carolina is most likely always going to go red. So kind of keep that in mind. But anyway, she's making her 6th visit to North Carolina this year with a trip to Greensboro. It's going to happen on Thursday. It's being described as a political event for the Biden campaign. This is also the 14th overall trip for Harris to North Carolina since joining office.
Oh, wow.
So that's a lot, it seems. First Lady Jill Biden was in Wilmington yesterday, for a speech. And, of course, that got a lot of headlines because people were like, well, why couldn't Joe be there? Now, he can only be so many places. So it's very common for them to send out folks. Some First Ladies are a little bit more vocal. Melania Trump was not interested at all in the political part of the job. Didn't mean that she was wrong for doing that. Doesn't mean that Jill Biden or Hillary Clinton's wrong because they were outspoken members of their husband's team. Laura Bush was not very outspoken. So it just depends.
But it takes a team.
It does take a team. So it's not uncommon that they send out everyone when they can. But, in this day and age where the president is coming under a lot of flack,
You can't expect him everywhere, every time, every place.
Probably is nice to have him in some live concept arena instead of a taped situation.
Like a debate.
Yes. All right. Top of the hour.
WRHI Rock Hill. At Ebony's.
A park specialist visited the White House, which is getting a lot of attention with President Biden's mental fitness under a lot of scrutiny. The president's doctor said last night that Kevin Kennard is a regular neurology consultant at the White House, where things got testy trying to explain it all.
White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre would not confirm details of several visits by a Parkinson's expert.
It doesn't matter how hard you push me. It doesn't matter how angry you get with me from here.
She says privacy concerns prevent more answers, noting thousands of military personnel get medical treatment at the White House Medical Unit. As for President Biden, she says he has been examined 3 times by a neurologist as part of his annual physical and has not shown any signs of a stroke, Parkinson's, or ALS.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. Now, President Biden insists he's still running for re-election, urging Democrats to unite around him, even as some in Congress call for him to step aside. House Democrats will hold a private meeting on that today. Former President Trump tells Fox.
It looks to me like he may very well stay in. He's got an ego and he doesn't want to quit.
But he believes they'll replace President Biden with Vice President Harris. Now, today, the president takes the world stage at the NATO summit that starts today in Washington. A big focus continuing to help Ukraine battle Russia after Monday's attacks that killed at least 38 Ukrainians.
Yesterday's scenes drew international outcry. Ukraine's largest children's hospital was hit as a daytime Russian barrage struck 5 Ukrainian cities. Young cancer patients ran from the building, dragging their drips behind them. Doctors digging for survivors with their bare hands.
That's Fox's Jonathan Savage. Now, tropical depression Beryl is over Arkansas. It's blamed for 1 death in Louisiana, 7 in Texas, where Beryl hit as a hurricane, causing flooding and knocking out power. There are still more than 2 million outages across Texas, so many won't have AC in 100-degree heat. America's listening to Fox News.
Taking a look at your Tuesday traffic, seeing spots of congestion and slow-ups pop up on 21 in Chester County, Catawba River Road at River Road. That is as you're heading towards Fort Lawn. Also, in Rock Hill at South Anderson Road, there still seems to be some congestion at 21 as you're crossing Dave Lyle Boulevard. North of the border, it is stacked and packed at exit 1B, 3, and 4. Red means stop, and that's what it is right now on I-77 into Charlotte. That's a look at your traffic. I'm Tyler Cupp.
A check of that WRHI weather is brought to you by AirTech Heating and Air. Remember, no matter what the weather, AirTech makes it better.
Are you tired of paying high energy bills trying to keep your home cool? This is Benny Etter.
No matter what the weather, AirTech makes it better.
We have the right remedy. Replace your old worn-out heating and air system and start saving electricity and money immediately. Plus, your new unit will help clear your home of mildew, pollen, and dust that causes allergy discomfort.
No matter what the weather calls, AirTech Heating and Air.
Call 327-7100.
Very hot and sticky weather. That's going to be the main theme across the Tri-County once again today as our temperatures are soaring back into the mid-90s. It's going to be very hot and humid. Could feel close to 105 with the heat index. That's why a heat advisory has been issued today. Little chance for a downpour this afternoon. I'm meteorologist Keith Monday from Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
Over to the WRHI News Center where Tyler Cupp has a check of those local headlines brought to you by Jonathan Brown Electric. We're here to brighten your day.
Have an electrical need? I'm Jonathan Brown, and whether it's a light switch, fan change, or even new fuses, or even a whole house, at Jonathan Brown Electric, we have it all covered. As a lifelong resident of York County, I'm here to serve you. I am fully licensed, bonded, and insured. Call me at 704-936-8099.
In the WRHI News Center, I'm Tyler Cupp. A unique opportunity. That's the description Rock Hill Mayor John Geddes has given the former Panther site, or what is now billed the Rock Hill Overlook. The Hutchison property is 245 acres that sits conveniently near an airport, interstate, and other ports. At a function last month, Mayor Geddes stayed firm in his stance that they will take their time in finding the right suitor.
What do we want on the doobity-doo Panthers property? Well, I'll tell you what we want, something we don't have now. You don't get an opportunity in life like we have with this property. You don't get it. It doesn't happen. How do I know that? Name another. Right now, name another property that has the attributes that we have at Rock Hill Overlook. You can't.
Geddes was adamant that it's not going to be a distribution center or warehousing. The mayor also mentioned the work being done on the south side, saying there's a lot of promise and significant development on its way.
You see, the buildings that are being built in that tax increment district are paying for those renovations. And they're going to pay for the part that's just across the railroad tracks. That'll be about a $60 to $80 million project that'll break ground this next year. It'll also help pay for the $2 million investment in Armory Park that'll start late this summer.
He says the people of Rock Hill need to continue to build for the next generation's growth. Late yesterday afternoon, the body of a missing juvenile swimmer was found in Lake Wylie. From TGK Police, they say crews were called to Pitcairn Park on Triton Drive just after 4 p.m. to look for a swimmer that was in distress and missing. The Charlotte Fire Department also assisted in the search. An investigation is ongoing by the York County Coroner's Office. Duke Energy Carolina's got the green light to increase its rates after approval from the Public Service Commission. With more, here's Seth Eves.
The energy company put in for a rate review request back in January to cover costs of investments made for system reliability, such as upgrades to power plants and poles. The increases will range from 4.4% to 8.7% on average. In a statement by Duke Energy South Carolina, they say it marks the first base rate increase requested by the company since 2018. Locally, the rate hike will affect about $39,000 each in York and Lancaster County. For Chester, nearly $15,000 will be impacted. On average, the increase could be about $151 for residential customers annually. The new rates change on August 1st. For WRHI News, I'm Seth Eves.
Charleston has reclaimed the title of South Carolina's largest city from Columbia going back to 2017. It was a close call between population and area size. Experts telling the Post and Courier city populations can be complex due to varying methods. One example is city limits may not accurately reflect urban areas. Lancaster County is aiming to pass a 1-cent transportation sales tax akin to pennies for progress in York County. It's in order to ease traffic with the growth coming and already there in the county. For the latest on the progress with this project, here's Lancaster County Administrator Dennis Marstall.
Anyone who's been down Highway 521 through Indian Land and on through, you see it's a little congested, a little busy. That's great. It speaks to our growth going on, but we want to try to get ahead of growth. So we have a proposal that County Council will have their third reading on. We'll talk about a 15-year program to deploy $400 million on over 125 road projects throughout the county.
Marstall explains the biggest project the tax would help fund is one that everybody knows about.
The biggest one, of course, is widening 521 from the North Carolina state line about 7.5 miles south to Walnut Creek area, and that will be widening one lane in each direction. We're looking to commit $60 million just for that one project to make sure that we have local funds to attract state funds and federal funds. And so the council action will be to put it to the voters' decision in November of 2024 in the presidential election.
The third reading for the tax will go before Lancaster County Council on Monday, July the 15th. In the News Center, I'm Teller Cup.
Are you looking to elevate your hydration game with Smart Water Alkaline with antioxidant? Whether you're a professional athlete, fitness enthusiast, or just someone who's always on the go, Smart Water Alkaline has got you covered with a pH balance of 9.5 plus.